Hey, it's Scott Barrett. Hey, it's Scott Barrett, and welcome back to the Burning Truth YouTube Live. And this is the big NXT review. Scott, where have you been, and what happened at the start of that stream? Well, at the start of that stream, I tried to send this to Twitter as well, and it didn't work. So that's what happened there. And where have I been? Busy, man. Really, really busy. And I haven't been able to spend the time doing these reviews the way I would have liked. So today, Saturday, bit late, but as we always say, better late than never, I am here to give you the big NXT review for the last 2 weeks, because that's the episodes I've missed. And following that, we'll get back to your regular scheduled programming every Wednesday morning for the NXT review, which is really, really good. If you're watching along live, get your comments in. That'd be really nice. If you're not watching along live, get your comments in below. We still want to hear them. Have you watched the 1992 Royal Rumble watch-along that myself and Matt Burns did on Sunday? Open question. If you did, that'd be absolutely fantastic. If you haven't, subscribe to the channel below and get that on. It was a really good, it was our first watch-along together, actually. So we were testing it out, having a go. And I think it went really well, genuinely. And we decided then that it was going to be the podcast for this week. So it went out, an audio version went out as the podcast this week as well. But if you're on YouTube, get the video version up. Really, really cool. Obviously, 1992 Royal Rumble, one of the greatest Royal Rumbles, or the best Royal Rumbles in history. That classic Ric Flair promo to end the show, probably the greatest promo in the history of pro wrestling, in my opinion. And we talked about loads of other stuff as well, like Corey Graves, like this year's WrestleMania, and what are our options, and The Rock, and AEW, and we talked about loads of cool stuff. So what I'm saying is, please go and watch that Royal Rumble watch along. It's just below. If you hit subscribe, you'll find it on the channel. So we do really well on the podcast, actually, guys, and we're trying to grow this YouTube thing. It's the reason for some of these live streams, etc. It's the reason I started doing these NXT reviews. What I would really appreciate is some support. So if you like what we're doing, and you if you like what we're doing and you want to support the channel, please like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the good stuff. Hit the bell, do all them things that people talk about. But for me, it's sharing. If you can share us wherever you talk about your wrestling, because we're one big community wrestling and we all love to talk about it. So I know there'll be Discords and Facebook groups and X, and there'll be all sorts of Reddits, and there'll be all sorts of different places where you can share this. Please share it wherever you normally talk about your wrestling, because genuinely just love talking about wrestling and want to grow this channel as big as we can. But the big goal that we've got just here is to get to 1,000 subscribers, which is so far off right now. But I'm hoping that you guys can help, and would really, really, really appreciate that. Right, let's not waste any more time. Let's start talking about the episode of NXT from the 14th of January. Paper notes this week, guys. Paper notes. Because I've just finished watching both back-to-back before I got on here. And I thought, when Oba Femi started the show, I was like, oh, yeah, absolutely fantastic. New champ, here he comes. And then we got Tony D'Angelo, which surprised me because I'd forgotten Tony D'Angelo was even the North American champion at this point. Seems to have been missing in action for a while. We then got Ridge Holland attacking Tony D'Angelo, setting up a bit of a mini feud for them. And then we had Eddie Thorpe attack Oba Femi as well, which continues that Eddie Thorpe wants to be sneaky and get title matches and win the title and all the rest of it, which we love, right? We love that he's doing that. Not a massive fan of Eddie Thorpe from what I've seen. However, it's a nice little respite. It's a nice little first defense for Oba Femi. I'm here for it. So Oba Femi gets attacked by Eddie Thorpe. Tony D'Angelo gets attacked by Ridge Holland. And that sets up pretty much the matches for the next 2 weeks, right? Well, if you remember, we had Shotzi pin Fallon Henley and Stephanie Vaquer become the #1 contender for Fallon Henley's North American Championship. So what happened next is they decided to have Shotzi versus Stephanie Vaquer to see who was the true #1 contender, or who would get their title shot first, I think is how they sold it. And if anybody had Shotzi to win on the bingo card, you know, well done to you, because I absolutely didn't. So Shotzi gets the win over Stephanie Vaquer, and it's it's actually Fallon Henley that almost causes Shotzi to get the win, although Shotzi knows nothing about it. And I think it's a really interesting beat that Fallon Henley sort of really doesn't want to wrestle Stephanie Vaquer, and it makes Shotzi look a little bit weaker. Like, yeah, I don't mind defending against you, but I don't want to defend against her. But it really makes Stephanie Vaquer out to be the big threat in NXT. And I'm really looking forward to, actually, we're going to get eventually, hopefully, fingers crossed, all toes crossed, we're going to get Julia Goulier, never been kissed, if you know, you know. We're going to get Julia as the NXT champion and Stephanie Vaquer as the North American champion. And I'm here for that. Oh, 100%. What else do we have on the show? We had Ethan Page. He had a pretty good showing. And then after the match, Javon Evans attacked him. And Javon Evans obviously got attacked by Ethan Page not so long ago. So he broke his jaw, I think is the story. So Ethan Page then, as he's defending himself, smacks Javon Evans in the jaw. Javon goes down like a sack of shit. And he's holding his jaw. And blood coming out of the mouth. Yeah, great moment, I think. Just enough. Maybe Javon oversold it slightly, but I think it all added to the segment. So not mad about that at all. Not mad because when we eventually get Javon make his comeback and wrestle Ethan Page, they might even do unsanctioned for this. When we finally get that match, it's going to really mean something when Javon gets the win. And if I've said anything since I started doing these reviews on NXT on the CW, and now on Netflix, thank you very much, Netflix UK, Javon Evans is going to be a superstar. No, I've got no doubts about it. He's going to be a superstar. So we're going to get, like I say, Javon Evans beating Ethan Page eventually. It's going to be phenomenal. What else did we have going on? Cora Jade over Kalani Jordan, which was a surprising finish for me, but fair dues. Cora Jade also actually popped up on TNA this week, right? I don't know much about it. I haven't seen it, but I know she popped up there. And then Fraxiom defended their tag titles successfully again. I'm a bit bored of Fraxiom, not going to lie. If they're going to split up, for me, they just need to split up. And then, like, best moment of the show, we get Bayley surprisingly back in NXT. She surprises and interrupts Roxanne Perez, who's on the mic, giving it the big one. That prompts a brawl, and we get Bayley in NXT, man. Oh my god! When Bayley was in NXT last time, like that is like pure. The best NXT was when Finn Balor was champ, Bayley was champ. That was like the best of NXT. So chuffed that she was back in NXT, and I think last week and this week, Bayley actually worked Raw, NXT, SmackDown, Raw, NXT, SmackDown. So fair dues to Bayley, man. She deserves everything. She's absolutely phenomenal. There's a reason she's so over when she comes to the UK, because we know what we're talking about in terms of our wrestling, and we love Bayley, and that's the end, right? And that was pretty much the first week of NXT. It ended actually with Bayley and Roxanne brawling. So I'm hoping that leads to a match. That's what we're looking for, ideally. But the second week of NXT that I'm going to review was from the 21st, this week. And, excuse me, I couldn't find the cough button quick enough. It started with Tony D'Angelo retaining that North American Championship that we forgot existed against Ridge Holland. And he successfully defended, which is good. And Ridge Holland's been a really credible threat on NXT. So it's a good win for him, and it means something. And I'm happy about that because, honestly, I'd nearly forgotten D'Angelo exists. And keep doing that, I'm going to start moving med like D'Lo Brown. Then we got Bayley out again, this time for a promo. So second week in a row, we got Bayley on TV. I've just said how amazing it is to have Bayley on TV. And I still agree, having Bayley out there, 100%. Makes my tummy warm, makes me really happy. It's like I've eaten a big bowl of porridge. But she's interrupted then by Julia. Well, she almost calls her out. So out comes the NXT champion, Julia. They have a nice moment. Bayley talks about why it's so important. The NXT Women's Championship is so important. What NXT means to people, what it means to the women's division, etc., etc., etc. And then Bayley and Julia were interrupted by Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. And this was a nice little moment. And now I'm wondering now whether rather than just having that singles match between Roxanne and Bayley, we might actually get a tag. And I'm here for it because I don't necessarily want to see Roxanne versus Julia again. I've seen it. It's fine. I'm quite happy for Roxanne to go to the Royal Rumble and move up to the main roster and be happy with the rest of her life away from NXT. It's time, I feel, for her to move on. But I like this tag match. So they could do this tag match in a few weeks or at the next special NXT show or PLE or whatever's coming. Yeah, I'd like that. I think Bayley and Julia versus Cora Jade and Roxanne. And it gives something different to the normal Julia and Stephanie Bacquer pairing. What else? Wesley got a big win. Trick came out for a quick brawl after the match, and they set up a match for next week. This was following, I think, Trick losing the title, something being said backstage, bit of a slap. Yeah, bit of he said, she said, bit of ooh backstage. You talk about a bit of a cold. I actually think the cold and flu tablets have got to me. I might have to take in the nighttime ones, and it's middle of the day, so that might be why I'm feeling a bit spacey. So yeah, Wesley versus Trick for next week. I'm not mad about that. That sounds absolutely phenomenal. So a nice little match next week, probably the main event. We then had Charlie Dempsey versus Lexus King for the Heritage Cup Championship, which I hate. I do, guys. I hate it. Too many championships in NXT. This is the one that needs to disappear. I get it. Came over from the UK. It's heritage, so you don't want to get rid of it. And it's different because you do rounds, but I'm still not a fan. I don't think the thing works very well for TV. And Lexus King retained here after a low blow, which continues that story of, is he going to be dastardly like his dad, or is he going to be his own man? So that's a nice little story for Lexus King going forward. However, it's still not gripping me. And neither of those characters, Charlie Dempsey or Lexus King, they're not pulling me in. So, I mean, I hope something changes and something clicks for me personally over the next, couple of weeks, couple of months. But right now, man, I'm not feeling it at all. What else did we have? Jada Parker versus, I forget her name, something Petrovic. Hold on. I'm about to find out. Where are we? We're about to find out, guys. Carmen Petrovic, that was her name. Yeah, Carmen Petrovic versus Jada Parker. And why is Carmen Petrovic's name so important? Well, it's important because she got the bloody win over Jada Parker, which I wasn't expecting. Kalani Jordan with a huge distraction. And yeah, Petrovic gets the win. So Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, that's coming round for us as well. And then the main event, Oba Femi defending the NXT Championship against Eddie Thorpe. And he retained it quite easily because he's Oba Femi and he's an absolute beast and we love him. And then after the match, Trick Williams come out and him and Oba Femi got face-to-face to end the show. Trick Williams gave Eddie Thorpe a trick shot while they were at it as well. And that sets up a potential rematch down the road for Trick and Oba Femi as well, which, I mean, come on, who doesn't want to see Trick versus Oba Femi one-on-one? I do. It was nice having Eddie Thorpe there for the triple threat, or for the end of what became a triple threat. But for me, Trick versus Oba Femi, the money's in that. So really looking forward to that coming forward. What else happened? DDP was on the show in the crowd. Loved DDP. And Austin Theory and Grayson Waller were there as well. They'd done a Piper's Pit segment with Oba Femi earlier in the show as well. So there is that also. If you get a chance, go back and watch it. Really, really good couple episodes at NXT. I haven't probably given these the time today that I would have done normally because I've done 2 rather than 1. But stick with me. I'm coming back. We're going to start doing the weekly NXT reviews again on Wednesday mornings, plus the PLE reviews, and more podcast content and watch-along content if you guys want it. So leave a comment below. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Please, 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 please. Share in your group, share with your friends. And if you love wrestling as much as we do, Thank you. And don't forget, follow us on the X down there, and on the Blue Sky, and we're on the Facebook as well. So we've got all the things, and we're trying to really, really grow this YouTube community. I think that's it for me, guys. I am just trying to check my notes again, see if I've got anything else that I wanted to talk to you about. No? Okay. Well, that's a wrap for this big NXT review, as it says there, the big NXT review. Thanks for hanging out with me, and well, enjoying it, because that's what we do, right? And if you want to keep the conversation going, follow us on Twitter at TBT Live UK or Blue Sky at TBT Live UK. We're on the Instagram at The Burning Truth. We're on the Facebook at The Burning Truth. You can catch all the podcast episodes, not just the most recent ones, on the YouTube page. The podcast's been going for 300 odd episodes. I only joined the channel last year, end of last year, but we are absolutely going for it now. So please come along on the journey for us. And you can get the podcast on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, all those places. I'll be back on Wednesday with the next episode of the NXT review. We'll be back on Monday night for the podcast. And please don't forget to do all that good stuff. Like, subscribe, and help us out. Keep that wrestling conversation alive. Until then, I will see you next time on The Burning Truth. Oh, or this one, I've been practicing this one. The Burning Truth. And I'll see you next time. Keep it real. Excelsior.